canvas on how to achieve your growth and make your project be profitable. So this session is aimed to make you stop and think before pushing your project too hard. So we would like to introduce you some tools that you can use as well. So this is Taurus, the Hong Kong U Innovation and Entrepreneurship Hub iDendron's manager. And I'm also the founder of Watershed Hong Kong. So I'm happy to share with you on this topic. So university is a great place to kickstart your startup. With great pool of talents, leisures, and the student identity, you can achieve a lot by starting your startup when you are a university student. And working at iDendron, we see student startup rise and fails with their startup project because we simply see so many teams working too hard and achieving so little. So an entrepreneur may start with a problem or a solution, but you may start with either side, but eventually you have to manage both. But since we always enjoy doing things that we are familiar to, which is the solutions, we want you to focus more on the problem size. Yeah, so remember what Marina said, customer just want to get the problem done and get the job done instead of falling in love with your solutions. So that's very important. And also according to the design thinking process, we also have to empathize with our potential customers and all other procedures to really know what is the unmet needs in the markets. So that is more important than your solution. The earlier you realize the importance of the problem, the market, or the demand side, the easier you can reach to the startup success. So at this moment, we want you to do a quick quiz. So among ideas, teams, business model, funding, and timing, which seems to you like the most important startup success factor? You may have 1 minute to type your answer in the chat right now. And we will go back to the answer at the end of the sharing. I see timing. And also team from Christopher. Idea. Any more? Well, timing and team are leading. Last 30 seconds. Okay, time's up. So we can see timing and teams are leading. So we will get back to the answer at the end of the presentations. So we will go on. Okay, so startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model, which is Marina mentioned also. And more startup fail from a lack of customers than a failure of production or of product developments. So we always see that startup ventures are amazing, but also very unstable at the same time. There is always saying that only 5% of startups survive. So this is the origin and the source. So according to a World Economic Forum study, they found that only 5% of startups survive in the future next 10 years. So and for the answer, you are doing a business instead of submitting an assignment. The point is not completing it, but to convince your customer to buy it. So that's why we think that money matters and market matters and also customer matters. So I guess many of you have seen this chart before also because it is famously widely spread and famously shared. And we can see that the top reasons of startup failures is always low market needs because we too focus on our product developments and we just ignore all the things. And when we roll out the products to the markets, we just find that no one is willing to buy our products, or they don't will, or they're not willing to buy it in such a high price. So we can see that many factors are related to the cost or the markets or other factors that related to the customers. So we know that all of you have to submit a video very soon. I guess this is by today. and then you guys have to pitch on Sunday. So how will you know if your solution has a market? So that's why we need market research, because we have to validate your market based on your assumption. And by analyzing your competitors and potential competitors, we can know whether the market that you assumed exists or the current market is way too competitive that you have to change your strategy or you have to completely change your product. So in terms of market research, we have two ways to do it. The first one is the secondary way that we can simply do it with our laptops and also with smartphone. So for secondary research, we can understand the demand and the trend and also find our positions in the market. And for primary research, it is more on discovering the market pain points so as to fine-tuning your project or your product's edge. And for primary research, it is a very common thing that we miss in our daily life. User survey is one of the most common form of primary research. And for secondary market research, there are many companies claiming that they are professional, and however, they charge you a lot of like $1,000 to creating a PDF report for you. So basically, we do have enough tools to do our own secondary market research. So we will introduce you some tools that you can use. So we can do our secondary market research by getting the reports from the governments, associations, and also commerce chambers. And also a more easier way is to just Google it or search it or find it on social media and other giant platforms, because I always want to read the harsh comment by the customers on every product. Then we can see what the customer wants from the products. So it is one of the easiest way. And also, if you want to continue with more complicated thing like SEO or something like that, you can also use Google Ads or Uber Suggest. So they provide more information on what are the customers searching for and what do they want and what topic is hit these days. So there is one tool that in particular I want to highlight. It is the Google Trends, because it just gives you many inspiration and it can grow your market sense. It simply shows how hot is the topic, and the results is based on country or different indicators. And it also shows lots of related topics and keywords. So it just helps you to illustrate the markets that you are targeting. You can spend more time to explore after these sessions, but let me share with you with an interesting local case. So under the COVID pandemic, lots of industry suffers, but some are not. Decathlon launched their online store at Hong Kong in 2020 and 2012, and in 2017 they opened their first local store in Mong Kok and in Causeway Bay. And in 2019, we all know there was a widespread social unrest during that time. They opened their first store in Cheung Kwan O. And in last year, October, they opened another 2 stores in Central and Kowloon Wan. And so from the chart, you can see the growing popularity of camping in Hong Kong. So can anyone explain why camping is becoming more and more popular in Hong Kong? Is there any reason that you think and you can relate to? You can simply type your question in the chat. Yeah, COVID-19, yeah. Yeah, because people cannot travel abroad. Yeah, exactly. Suspend the school? Yeah, yeah. So people do have the demand to network with the people that you're dear and near. So they really need to take a break from the daily life and to network with other people, especially they live in Hong Kong with so small living pace. So under COVID-19 and the related social distancing policy, going for hiking and camping these days is one of the best activities for people to relax and enjoy the public space, and they can take off their mask when doing hiking also. So that helps to explain why hiking and camping is becoming more and more popular these days. I guess all of you have heard of your friend that going hiking or camping these days also, because it's simply a better place to go instead of going to the shopping mall that they all close after 6 o'clock. Okay, so we go to a scientific methods of doing our market research. So basically, we have to ask the questions, we have to do the background research, which we just go through, like doing the secondary market research. Then we can construct a hypothesis, which means a series of assumptions that we assume we are trying to solving that problem and we are acquiring that parts of customer. Then we have to test with experiments by doing some interviews and to analyze whether our assumption is true or not. Then we have to do the process repeat and repeat to verify our hypothesis. So you can see that on the top, it is more on secondary market research. And for the validation part, it is more on the primary research. So that's why we explain the secondary market research first. So what are we looking for? So we are looking for a hypothesis, a series of assumptions of our customers. To be specific, we want to look for some early adopters of our product. So why early adopters? Because you may think you are creating a product for everyone, but there's not a actionable or useful description for your products in early stage, because you need to get it more specific. Your job is to think about the kinds of people who have your who have the interest that in your problem, who have the interest that who have the interest in the problem that you are solving. Sometimes they have a particular job, a state of mind, or belongs to a certain age group. So you have to think about your early adopters. So new founders always tend to obsess about their mainstream customer, like the first all-in-one products for everyone, something like that. However, by definition, the mainstream is waiting for the proof from early adopters before they try something new. If you cannot get early adopters, you cannot move on. So early adopters are usually folks that fulfill a pain points accurately, or love to try some new products and services. So we witness how Facebook and YouTube going from desktop browser to mobile apps, smartphone, smart TV, and all other platforms. So maybe you can have a look at the track. For this chart, I guess it is a bit too outdated, because I guess even the lay majority use Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube also. But you can see that how the world is growing and transforming to the internet and e-commerce. So there is no perception for how narrowly or broadly you should cast your net for customer. However, the more focused you can be, the easier it is to make sense of your evidence. So here we go. We come to the part of market segmentations. So it is rather traditional but useful. You can see we got four sectors in this chart. We got the demographics and also the geographical factors and behavior and other things. So maybe we can take Tesla as an example. So let's think about the market segmentations of Tesla, like the age of their user or customer. Any thoughts? Over 30s, over 40s, or over 50s? You can type in your chat right now. '40s, yeah, I do think so. For gender, any idea? Is this for both female or male, or yeah, males? And income? I'm not talking on the Model Y for now. Is this? Yeah, Young Males. Yeah, yeah. Also, video cast. Yeah. So for psychographics, what do you think? Are they some techie people like they like new trends, US stock market or something like that? Are they trendy people? Or do they care about the environment? Yeah. Okay, so let me skip this part and we go straight to the answer I give. Yeah, so this is the assumption that we made before. So we can see that we expect that Tesla customers are always some techie people and they love the trend as well. And they love to be looking cool and whether they, and for environmental friendly parts, yes or no, because I guess there are more techie people than environmental friendly people. And for the geographic factors, it has to be some developed countries or some tech-oriented place that they can provide the charging stations at their apartments or they can afford to buy and install a charging stations. And for behavior, I guess they have to drive short distance with some frequency instead of driving long for, for very frequently. So basically, we can target that Tesla customers are mainly middle class. They they love supercar 0 to 100. Yeah, yeah. I said like a race car also. Yeah. So there are some trendy rich people. So here we go. We got some key assumption. Customer has disposable incomes and like to spending it on car. And customer has the ability to plug in to charge an electric vehicles. And we can know that customer, they like the technology and they may value the environment also. And also they do not need to regularly drive a long distance. So this is the assumption that we can give to the Tesla customer. So we can also see the trends how Tesla is trying to expand their pool of customer from the early adopters to early majority or even to the late majority by rolling out their Model Y recently. It is a rather cheap models. It costs only around 300K RMB, and it's made in Shanghai. So we can see that they are trying to acquire more customers, more younger and more of the lower income group. So we can see that how they want to push their product from early adopters to early majority. So yeah, so that's the sole time of primary market research. So user survey is the most common form of it. But we all know how university postcard survey works. So interviews works better and reflect the thoughts behind every of us. So remember, don't ask your mom. She is always too supportive to every move by you. So you have to look for some honest advice and harsh comments. That's why we suggest you to look more about and you look more and explore more on the Amazon and on all the online store because the customer there is always mean enough to give harsh comment. So there is another way to do the interview is to conducting the focus group. So I picked this screen cap from the movie Blizzard, the Uncivil War. It shows how the agency used focus group interview to examine their statements, trying to polarize people's mind. And they're trying hard to make the tagline stick to the audience mind. So here we go. We can how can we examine our key assumption by asking questions? So we can form a lot of focus group with our potential customers. We can ask them questions like this, like, what was your most recent vehicles that you purchased? What guides you the decisions? Can you tell me more about your certifications after the purchase? So remember, do not ask any yes and no questions because, sorry, my screen is not working. Because you're trying to test the customer's willingness to buy your products instead of just asking yes or no. Because when you ask whether they support environmental friendly policy, they always just say yes. But the problem is that how much they are willing to pay for getting this problem solved. So this is one of the keynotes that you have to understand. So that's why we can ask, how do you rate environmental friendliness in the products that you buy? And you can ask them to tell you a recent example that when you did or you did not buy product because of this. So this try to examine the willingness of your potential customers more. You can also try the market segmentation tools or other techie things also, like the Fitbit, the cleaning robots, the Ringos, and all other emerging tech products. And bear in mind that being told your idea is cool is not useful, but seeing the behavior that validates your customers' willingness to buy is more useful. So here we go. So there was the YouTube videos from the TED Talk that emphasized the importance of timing among all the startup success factors. From the video, the speaker lists some startup success factors, and and we all know that the team is the dominating factor of startup success. It is actually quite tricky to say timing is the most important factors, but it makes some sense because when you hit the market and gain traction, it's much more easy for you to get to explore for a better business model, fundings and investors and also co-workers. It's not difficult to get funding at all because you are all now joining a joint university program with Hong Kong Science Park, and you can also apply for different 100K fundings at Hong Kong right now. So it's very easy to get the starting fund. But the point is how to discover your market and how to validate that your product is wanted by the market for now. So the best way to really assess the timing is to really look at whether the customer really ready for what you have to offer them. If you have something you love, you want to push it forward, but you have to be very honest about the factors of timing, because sometimes the market is not ready for brilliant ideas. So my advice is to be persistent, keep an eye on the market, and always be ready to adapt to changes. So if you are working on something beyond the market needs, you have to survive long enough for the right timing. So during the COVID pandemic, there are many foundation changes happens that we cannot reverse. Many says the pandemic speed up the e-commerce transformations, and we can all see that traditional industry suffers, but some are not. We can see many industry growth under the COVID pandemics, like the Amazon. For Amazon in particular, they also roll out their Amazon Fresh, which they deliver fruits and also fresh and vegetables to the customers. So they grab the right timing to grow rapidly in the last year, and they become the largest employers in Washington, D.C. recently. And we can also see that logistics and delivery industry grows a lot also. So I guess the COVID pandemic served as a great example for us to observe from the daily life changes that we can see the trend. And you can see at the bottom left, Zoom, one of the fastest growing company. Why do we need Zoom when we don't have work from home and social distancing? So we can see that a good timing is really important if we want to boost our company. But we have to get everything ready for the right timing, and we have to acquire enough early adopters. Otherwise, when the timing comes, we don't have any proof to spread our product to the early majority and even the later majority. So when the time comes, we can conquer the majority with our early adopters. So on the bottom left, on the bottom right, you can also see the cloud computing servers. Because of the work from home policy and also the social distancing policy, we have to work from home and we have to rely on the Google Drive and all other cloud computing and remote computing services. That's why this industry also grows also. Okay. For e-commerce, remember how Mars and Nintendo Switch sold at the first wave of pandemic? The demand switched greatly according to the changing situations. We were expecting the reopens of cross-country traveling last year, but now we see all the countries tightening their borders due to the fourth wave. So here is the quick recap of this sharing. So the world is very dynamic and unstable, and many of us say that the 2020 is just a trailer of 2021. And we can, from this sharing, we can see that why customer matters. And we also have some tools that we can use for the secondary market research. So remember, secondary market research is for you to understand the demand and trends and also find your positions in the markets. You can also include this part in your presentation sometimes, because if you want to illustrate that there is a growing market, maybe Google Trends is a good tool for you to illustrate it by displaying the growing popularity of the theme or markets that you are working on. And we introduce also the market segmentations and also the importance of early adopters. When we want to conquer the majority, we have to have some early followers with us to be our missionaries. So, and the fourth point is the primary market research. So it is also very important that we can start with some focus group with the within the university communities. We got many teams at the iDendron startup communities that they have a product, they have an MVP, and they bring it to the whole society or some student teams or student groups. They pay them for several $100s, and then the group will use the MVP for a certain period of time, and they will have they have to give some honest comment to them. So I think that university is a great place to start your startup, because people here are very willing to try something new, and they are willing to do the job voluntarily or at a relatively low price. So if you have your startup or product ready, you can try it with your community at the university first. And also we have a quick look of the on the COVID pandemics. We know that some industries suffer and some do not. So it may serve as a great timing for us to march in and to grab the markets. So here we go is the takeaway. So not everyone is going to be a customer, even if they share a lot of characteristics. So not every wealthy tech-oriented people or person is going to buy a Tesla, because they have to consider also the parking problem and the space problem as well. So, and you have to understand the assumptions you have about why someone will pay for your products. So you have to be data-driven and proof-driven when presenting your target markets to the investors and all the judges, because for the industry expert, they can easily spot that your assumption is right or wrong. So the third point is that you have to find a way to test these assumptions with real potential customers. So just form a target group and go out of the room and talk to some real people. Then you can find many market pain points from their feedbacks of your competitors, products, and something like that. And then here's come the fourth point. So without customers, you don't have a business. You just have a hobby. So you have to find out what people really care about and how much they would like to pay to get that problem solved or get that done. So if you have some hobbies that you really love, try to make it profitable. Try to make it a business. So the fifth point is that idea tell execution what to do and execution tell ideas how to improve. By conducting the market research, you can know how you can improve your product, your ideas, and your business models. So remember, Facebook is called Facebook.com at the very beginning, and they have changed the business model for 5 or 6 times after they launched the product. So don't hesitate to change your products. Remember, you should focus on your problem instead of your solution. So don't fall in love with your solution. So here's come my little experiments. So starting with a niche market is also another way to get to your startup success. So personally, I have started some rethinking history projects called Watershed Hong Kong. So we utilize the reinvestment elements in guide tours and promotion events to the general public that bring us a lot of media exposure and popularity. Then we catch the need from the museum, schools, NGOs, and also the corporates because they need the display, the contents, also they need workshop for their retreat. We also involved in the film production also. You can see from the lower part of slides, we train the foreign and local actors to act as guards of honors of the 1997 handover ceremony. We also handle their uniform as well. So remember, you have to try out your idea and push it into the market for a trying. So that makes you to really have a taste of how the real market works. So another book I would like to introduce to you guys is Talking to Humans. So it talks about how to understand your customer and how to conduct a market research. So I would recommend all you guys to have a read of this book. You can just Google its name on Google and you can find their websites and you can easily download a PDF copy of this book. So yeah, that's all of the sharing for today. So feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A corner, or you can find me on LinkedIn or other platform. Let me see. Where can I learn how to set survey questions? Do I need to study statistics or marketing? You don't need to study statistics or marketing to set your survey questions. What you need to do is to ask deep to your potential customer. You have and never ask yes and no question. You should ask them like, let me show you the slide. Here we go. Yes, here we go. So you should ask your potential customers on to what extent they want to try the new thing and they would like to buy for certain things. So you should ask a lot of to what extent questions instead of asking yes or no questions. So it helps to get your to examine your assumptions. And remember, you have to ask enough interviewees instead of just asking your close friend and trusted friends, because they may give you some wrong information to please you. So let's say you shall ask for around 30 and up to 100 mans. And so you have to be data driven and get your sample valid. I got any other questions? We have to make the product ready before the timing chance come, but how long should we wait? How do the business survive while waiting? So that's a good question. That's why we talk about market research before you really roll out your product to the market. We shall be keep an eye on the market and customers before we roll out the markets, because we really cannot wait for the timing and chance come. The timing and chance will boost your markets and boost your sales and boost your product and boost your projects. But you have to make sure you are going to launch a plan that the market needs and you can find enough early adopters. That's why we emphasize the importance of early adopters. You really have to target some people that they are willing to buy your product at an early stage. Like there may be some techie people, there may be the people that they like to buy Bitcoin or all other trendy things. So you have to you have to be confirmed that you can acquire such a group of early adopters before rolling out your project. You cannot rely on the timing or chance to save your project from dying. So on the question of how long should we wait, as I told you, we cannot wait for the timing. We have to think more about the early adopters. That's why we have to do the market research and discover where can we find the first batch of our product customers or MVP tester. Any more questions? Niche market is smaller cost, but will it also be smaller profits? How do you think about VR esports games? Haha. So the problem is that the market today is very competitive. That it's very difficult for you to grab a session or grab a pass of that price at these very beginnings. So it's always good to start with a niche market, like how Tesla do. But you can see whether you can get the right timing to boost like Zoom and all other things. But in generally speaking, your approach shall be acquire the niche market and be famous in your small sectors. And then you can use different tools and try to enlarge the pool of your customer. So that's one of the advice that I can give. In terms of VR eSport, I guess the technology is not very mature enough at this stage. And for another problem is that for Hong Kong, we don't really have so many event room or space that we can play the VR esport at home or in other places. So that's another limitations of promoting VR esports at Hong Kong. But we can see that benefiting from the work from home and also the COVID pandemic, the esport or the all other virtual technology and the entertainments will grow in this year or also in the coming years. How do we find the first group of testers efficiently? I guess it depends on your products, but generally speaking, it is easy to find the first group of testers in the university community because we can find students from different faculties in university. We can find them in hall as they live over there. So I always suggest our startup to staff with the university communities. So you can just approach to different hall or different sports team or different student groups. Then you can pay them for several $100s if you want. Then you can get some sincere tester for your product. For iDendron, we do have some community networking apps company over here, and in particular, they spend $500 to a dancing team at certain hall, and then the team has around 30 to 40 people, and then they test their MVP for months, and then they have to meet the company for telling their feedbacks on the apps and all other things. So that networking app companies did that customer research before rolling out their product to the market. Any more questions? If no, I will end here. So please feel free to find us, find iDendron, and find me and all our colleagues here to ask for any questions if you have on the pitching on Sunday. And also if you are Hong Kong student, do welcome to visit our websites and contact us and reach out to us for any kinds of inquiries. So thank you very much.